Okay, so we're now on to writing ratios in the form 1 to n, and let's get into it. So writing ratio in the form 1 to n just means the first quantity, so this one over here, is in the ratio is a 1, which you can see it is there, and the second quantity is any value. So this is just saying that the second number here can be any value. It could be 3, it could be 5, it could be -4. It just means it could be any value, but the first number has to be a 1. And you're going to see why in later videos this is really, really useful. Okay, so it says below are some examples of ratios in the form 1 to n. So you've got 1 to 5, 1 to 100, and 1 to 2.5, because the first quantity in the ratio is a 1, which is really, really important, and it's incredibly useful. Okay, so it says there, you'll see later getting ratios in this form, 1 to n, is incredibly useful when looking at things like map scales and recipes. It is called the unitary method, because you can see the first number is 1 unit, okay? And it's useful because if you want to upscale, just briefly, if you want to upscale a ratio, let's say you want to go from 1 to, I don't know, 18.2, you might measure a length of 18.2. To get from 1 to 18.2 is really easy. You just multiply by 18.2. That is in contrast to, let's just say the ratio was in the form 2 to 10, okay? Well, to get from 2 to 18.2, it's a bit more difficult to think about. So it's a really useful tool to get ratios into this format. And we'll go through some my turn, your turns, and then that is going to be it for this video. So it says, right, write the following ratios in the form 1 to n. So these ones here are a bit more simple. Well, the first one particularly because, right, what goes into 5 and 10, you can just go and divide by 5. But basically for all of these, you just divide by the first quantity, okay, which in this case is a 5. So we're going to go and divide this 5 here by 5. And divide the 10 by 5. And this one is nice because 5 and 10 are both factors of 5, so it's going to work out really nicely because 5 divided by 5 gives you 1, and 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. So you can see that the first number is a 1, which is really important, and the second number, in this case, n, is equal to 2. Okay, but you've put the ratio in the form 1 to n, which is lovely. Now, it's not quite as nice with this one, but it's not too bad, okay? You just divide by whatever number this is, because then that will make it a 1. So here you're going to go and divide that 2 by a 2, divide by 2, and do the same thing with that 5. You're going to go and divide by 2. Now 2 divided by 2 gives you the 1, which is really important, and then you've got to go and do 5 divided by 2. Okay, if you're not sure, you can use bus stop, but 5 divided by 2 gives you 2.5. So in this example, the first number is a 1, which is crucial, okay? And the second number, n, is equal to 2.5. And that is fine. It could be a decimal. You could write it as a fraction, 5 over 2 if you like, but that is absolutely fine. That's your answer. As long as that first number is a 1, that's good. Okay, so you can go and try these ones on the right. It says, same thing, write the following ratios in the form 1 to n. And again, you just go and divide by whatever number this is. So you're going to be dividing this 7 over here by 7. And because 21 is also a factor of 7, this one is going to be a nice easy one, because 7 divided by 7 gives you that 1, which is what you want. 21 divided by 7 gives you 3, which is nice and works out nicely. So you get the ratio 1 to 3. But again, the first quantity is a 1, which is really, really important. And the value of n, in this case, is just 3. Okay, you then got this one. You've got 5 to 12. Again, you just divide by whatever the first quantity is, because that will get you to the 1. So you can go and divide by 5, and then you can go and divide that 12 by 5. So 5 divided by 5 gives you 1. 12 divided by 5, if you're not sure, let's use a bit of bus stop, because why not? So how many 5s go into 12? It's going to give you a decimal, so it's going to add on some zeros. 5 into 12 into 1, so it doesn't go, so you can carry that 1. 5 into 12 goes twice, bring up your point. So 5 into 12 goes twice, remainder 2. 5 into 20 goes exactly 4 times, so you don't need that 0 there. So 12 divided by 5 gives you 2.4, so 2.4. And there you go. Your ratio is in the form 1, and your n value in this case, n is equal to 2.4. Brilliant. Let's look at a couple more examples. A bit more, not trickier really, but you're going to get some more awkward decimals, but that is fine. This one again, simplify the ratios in the form 1 to n. Again, you just divide by the first quantity, because that's going to get you to that 1. So 7 divided by 7, and you're going to do 4 divided by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is going to give you 1. And for these ones, I'm going to go and use my calculator, because you might be allowed to, depending on whether the exam is calculated or not. But I'm just going to be doing 7 divided by 4. And it's going to be, sorry, other way around, sorry, 4 divided by 7. That's a mistake. And you could leave it as a fraction, as 4/7, but I'm going to go, you know what, actually, I'm going to leave it as a fraction because you can see that decimal is non-terminating. It just keeps going on forever and ever. So it's not particularly nice to use. I'm going to keep it as a fraction because you can do that. So I'm going to keep it as 4/7. Okay, in this case. It doesn't say what format they wanted. So that's fine. You could also write it as 1, 2, just to make it really clear to you guys. You could also write that as a decimal as 1, 2. Let's go and write it as 0.57 if we round it. So 1, 2, 0, 0.57. So either of these is absolutely fine. Personally, I would use this one because the fraction one, because you're not going to get any rounding errors, but it might ask you to put it as a decimal. So either of those is fine. Now this one, again, you're going to divide by the first quantity. So let's go and divide through by 5 and do the same thing with the 9. Again, it's not going to give you a nice number, so I have to use our calculator, but 5 divided by 5, of course, gives you that 1. And then we're doing 9 divided by 5, which you could, of course, just write as 9/5. That means 9 divided by 5, or putting it into your calculator. Let's have a look. So let's clear this. There we go. And we're going to be doing 9 divided by 5. Put it into a decimal, round it to, there we go, 1.8. So actually that one isn't too bad. So 1 to 1.8. So either of those is absolutely fine, just depending on how you want to give your answer. Okay, they mean the same thing, just a fraction and decimal format. So just to finish up with, you can try those two on the right and yeah, get them in the ratio 1 to n. So again, you divide by the first quantity. So we're dividing on this one. Sorry, my arrows are really not too good. We're dividing by 2. And we're going to go and divide that 13 by 2. So 2 divided by 2 gives you 1. 13 divided by 2, well, half of 13 is actually going to give you 6.5. So I'm going to write it as a decimal because that one isn't too bad to do. Good. The one below, we're going to be dividing through by 11 because that is your first quantity. So let's go and divide. So my arrows are really not very good. Sorry. Divide by 11. Let's go and divide by 11. Of course, the first one will give you 1, and then you're doing 20 divided by 11, which you could just write as 20 divided by 11 as a fraction, or you can put it into your calculator and you can get the following. Let's go and type it in. So 20 over 11, and then get it into a decimal. So let's call it 1.81 to 2 decimal places, and there we go. So 1.81, and there we go. Okay, you've got all of those ratios into the form 1 to n, and you're going to see in later videos, I've got some videos already on maps and scales, how useful the unitary, because remember that 1 is the unitary method is. And that's it. So thank you for watching.